The Hornets keep giving us content, baby. They signed a new two-way player, Antonio Reeves. Welcome to the team. What can he do to help out the squad? Plus, they are giving us new players. They're not giving us Summer League Championship t-shirts, and there is a high demand. There's just no supply, apparently. We'll talk about all of that today, Locked On Hornets.
Hive demand.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson. He's on every Hornets box. Score.com. He's also on Locked On NBA. Is there anything else you're on? Did I miss anything?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm on all kinds of stuff. I'm on.
Okay.
You don't want to just look at my medicine cabinet. I'm on all kinds of stuff.
All right. Peek in. Whoo, okay. And shut it close. Boy, I didn't realize you had that issue. I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate their support as always. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, we appreciate FanDuel. We also appreciate the Hornets. Silly season.
I mean,
they just keep giving us stuff to talk about. Thank you very much, Jeff Peterson. We appreciate that.
Jeff knows he doesn't have to sign a player every day, right? Like there's no rule in the CBA that says
Nobody
Jeff Peterson. I feel like he's like me in a lot of ways when I start a new job, even like a year or two in. I'm just like Mr. Overachiever. I have to do everything, and I build that credibility up so that then in year 2 or 3 I can just like lean back and they're like, no, Doug is definitely working.
Ghost.
He has the reputation of working, but Jeff knows he doesn't have to sign someone every day, right?
Yeah, next offseason, we're not signing anybody, and we're going to trade cash considerations for Brad Wanamaker and call it a day. That's what's happening next offseason. But the Hornets sign Antonio Reeves to a two-way contract. This coming in from Shams Charania, who has had the Hornets news. And it's a monopoly now. Woj is out of the game. Shams has had all of it, but he's been tweeting a lot about the Hornets because the Hornets have been making a lot of moves. So the Hornets sign a guard, shocker there. They signed guard Antonio Reeves to a two-way NBA deal. The 2024 New Orleans Pelicans second-round pick averaged 6.9 points per game and shot 40% from 3 in 44 games as a rookie last season. Doug, this is not your typical two-way contract player, in my opinion. A lot of people liked him coming out of Kentucky last season. Again, he falls to the second round where he's selected by the Pelicans. If you look at his game log, if you look at what he did last year, it's a pretty interesting game log. And you know me, I love a good game log, buddy. I do. Oh, my God, they're great. So, like getting spot minutes here and there, not playing a whole lot. Like the most he played was 18 at the beginning of the season, but then 8 DNP CDs. Boom! 39 minutes. There's a game with 39. He scores 34 points. That would be a season and, of course, career high. He puts up 25 shots. He puts up 12 threes. He actually makes 14 of those 25 shots and goes for 34. Okay, they also get beat by almost 30 in that game playing Cleveland. So then the very next game, he plays 12 minutes. The game after that, it's a DNP. Okay, so all right, so spot minutes. Then Pelicans are out of the playoffs. Let the young boys play. Let the kids play. Now it's all about some April basketball, baby. And that's where Antonio Reeves actually puts together a nice little run from mid-March to the end of the season. Shot 45% from 3 in that stretch in the 16 games that he played. Okay, I'll take 45% from 3 no matter how you slice it. Averaged, I think, I'm looking at the points per game average here, around like 15 or so. Like he was putting up a decent amount of points every single game. So yeah, man, like a lot of people like Antonio Reeves. Just a dead-eye shooter is what he really is on this team.
That's it. I mean, that's I think what they've been looking for all offseason is to add shooting to this roster with players that have the size and potential and sort of character and effort that the team is looking for, that they can say, we may be able to mold this player into a passable defender and dead-eye shooter, which, like, if you look at the Boston Celtics team that won the championship, they were full of those guys. The guys that Charles Lee was helping to assistant coach every day, they were full of Sam Hausers and Sam Merrills and, just Sam shoot a bunch of threes. And you look at other guys in this mold, kind of like a Max Strus for Cleveland and for Miami before that. Caleb Martin, Miami turned, again, it's about turning like liability on defense to passable defense. And then at the same time, you're getting awesome offense. When I watch, I did a little bit of tape study this morning, and when I watch Antonio Reeves, I see a player who's a great shooter, also plays a little bit under control. If he has to go to his dribble and get to the mid-range, he can play in control. It's not always extremely effective there. He cannot get to the rim. He's not going to do that for you. But he can play a little bit inside the arc. And then defensively, he just needs a lot of work. And that's where Greensboro Swarm going to come in. It's the same thing with like Drew Peterson and KJ Simpson and a lot of these players. Like, I'm excited about what they can bring to the training camp squad, to the preseason. But if they're playing minutes for the Hornets next season, something has gone terribly wrong. And you bring up the New Orleans game log. That's what happened in New Orleans. They are a cursed franchise, thanks to George Shinn and breaking my heart as a 10-year-old. I put a voodoo curse on them, and they have not been able to get out of it yet. And they were terribly injured. They have been for the past couple of seasons. And that's given players like Antonio Reeves, who was drafted, I think, 47th overall, an opportunity to play. That should sound very familiar to people who listen to this show. So why did New Orleans suddenly give up on him? Because they waived him entirely. And the answer is they just flipped their entire front office. So Joe Dumars comes in, and Dumars didn't draft this guy. And this happened. I feel like this happened to Amari Bailey with the Hornets. Like, wasn't and I may have the timing wrong on that. But it's like this happens a lot where new regime comes in. I didn't draft you. I don't want to play with you anymore. I want to play with my own guys. And so that's what happens to Reeves. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. And now the Hornets will get an opportunity to see if they can turn him into something.
Yeah, maybe like a Troy Daniels. Can we get another miracle after midnight?
Troy Daniels!
Does he fit that profile? So I mentioned an interesting game log from Antonio Reeves. Also an interesting cleaning the glass page. If you go to shooting accuracy, he's in the 5th percentile shooting at the rim. Not good. He's in the 91st percentile in the short mid-range. So short mid-range, 91st percentile, I'll take that. How about the 100th percentile? That's pretty solid from non-corner threes. So when it came to shooting non-corner threes, Antonio Reeves, according to Cleaning the Glass, was the best shooter in the NBA last year.
Sick.
This is what we're talking about. Usually that's a guy, even with how bad they might be defensively, and even if they can't do a lot of other things, just run them off of some screens and hope to God that the other team misses some buckets on the other end. That's a skill that'll keep you in the league for a little while. Anthony Morrow type, Troy Daniels type, will just somehow, some way, will just keep you in the league for a little while.
Okay, I really have a lot of strangely have a lot of thoughts about this.
Well, this is not your typical two-way guy. Like, that's the thing. People are kind of excited. And Damian Baugh, we can, salute. Maybe we can do the eulogy Damian Baugh stuff. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff there. But this is an interesting player to discuss.
It is, and I think it has implications even beyond this season and even beyond Antonio Reeves. Just the idea of adding a player like Reeves. I want to talk about. There's a big deal here, I think. There's a big deal here that I want to get to in a second. But I also have to get to this very quickly. They don't make many Antonios anymore in the NBA. I feel like Antonios were very prevalent. They were the Jalens of the 1990s. There were a lot of Antonios in the 1990s. We don't make many Antonios anymore. I like that. The Hornets getting back to taking Kentucky guys. That's a Michael Jordan special. Michael Jordan, Mitch Kupchak special. So getting back.
We see
to
you, Mitch.
Kentucky
Still
guys.
working. Yeah, Mitch is still working.
You had something on Antonios, I think.
Antonio Davis. Oh,
sure.
Man, love me some Davis. Part of the Davis brothers, was an all-star, I think, with the Raptors. Antonio Daniels. Sorry, he got crossed up by AI, but Antonio Daniels is another one. Antonios, bring him back. That's what the Hornets are doing.
So there is a thing that you should raise your eyebrow, take seriously about this kind of signing that goes beyond the player. And that's what I want to talk about next.
That's a tease. That is a tease. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Are we raising one eyebrow? Two?
This might be a double eyebrow situation. This might be a double eyebrow situation.
Do you see? Do you see?
Well, we see your eyebrows. And sometimes it's the only thing I can see are your eyebrows.
What's coming up next? Hit it.
Oh,
Hit it. Before we raise eyebrows, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. You could use FanDuel to track your favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay, watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're a part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, that's okay. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, what's interesting, a little bit more so, the tease. It was a great one, Doug. Time to please it. What you got?
When Charles Lee came in his first season, they tried to play Celtics basketball, which is shoot a lot of threes, get up and down, play with pace, and it failed miserably because they didn't have the three-point shooters. So this offseason, we've seen them stock up on Antonio Reeves and beyond level three-point shooters, both in respects to their three-point attempt rate, the amount that they actually decide to put up, and their effectiveness. Now, they haven't done that at the center position. That's still TBD. But they've certainly done it at the guard and the wing position. So that's important thing number one. But important thing number two is that the reason you need to pay attention to these types of signings are that with the new CBA, if you're going to go out and make a big splash contractually in the next offseason or the next two off seasons, if you are preparing your team for that, and particularly if you already have a player in, say, LaMelo Ball, who makes a max contract, and in Brandon Miller, who will be due to sign an extension in a couple of seasons, then you want to make sure that your roster is stocked to the brim, that you have maxed out all opportunities to bring in players that can come in and contribute for you in the way that you want to play your style of basketball. That's what the Thunder are going to have to do now that they have three guys, their big three, locked up for many years, but the contracts explode, and the CBA will make team building extremely restrictive in respects to, I want to go and trade for a guy who makes $12 million, or I want to go and sign a player in free agency. No, you can't do that anymore, because the CBA rules prevent you from building your team that way. Now, you're going, like the Thunder at some point, are going to have to get big minutes from an AJ Mitchell and a Topic and some other guy that they get off somebody else's G League team, and that's under a two-way contract. You're going to have to get contributions to be competitive. And so getting these two-way players is important. And it's not about Antonio Reeves doing that. It's just about the mentality that this organization has now that says, hey, we got to make sure that we get our roster of two-way and fringe contractual guys, cost control rookies like Sion James, like Liam McNeely. We better knock that out of the park if we're planning on making a big splash to trade for someone that makes 30, 40 million plus to add alongside LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. That's why this is a big deal.
Yeah, so depth, if you want to bring in somebody after an injury, they can fit that role. You know exactly what to do with them. It's, okay, we don't need to find the maybe exact replacement for whoever's injured, but now what they can do is they can at least shoot, and we'll just put them out on the perimeter, try to create space for everybody else, and you get the idea of why shooting is so valuable. So now the two-way contracts for the Hornets, it's KJ Simpson, pretty officially it seems like, right?
Yeah.
KJ Simpson going into this upcoming season. It's actually now Antonio Reeves, the latest addition here, who got some real run last season in the NBA, his rookie season in the NBA. You also have Drew Peterson, who was with the Celtics. Charles Lee knows a little bit about, having played in the G League. So Drew Peterson, Antonio Reeves, KJ Simpson. What do you think about the two-way batch here, Doug?
I love it. I mean, I think that's why maybe we'll talk more about Ball if you want, but I mean, I think Damian Ball gets waived because KJ Simpson has a great summer. Like, he just sort of locked in, like, okay, that's a backup point guard. Now we can go out and find a wing like, sort of a wing guard combo in Reeves that, like, Reeves can't handle the ball. Like, you're not going to give him any kind of point guard responsibilities. He's just going to stand on the wing and be open and knock down 3-point shots. That's something that Damian Ball was a little bit inconsistent with. Ball had some other traits, but a lot of those other traits overlapped with KJ Simpson. So I think they've solved that. I think a lot of people are going to look at this and go, why didn't they sign a big? And I'm just telling you, I just don't think they care. I don't think they care about, because I think they're looking at this like, and there's a psychosexual question in regards to this, like, what can they, we should dig into it tomorrow, but unless they sign, two more players. But how do you sort of counter the fact that you don't have a strong big rotation? And I just think the Hornets are going to be looking at ways to do that, as opposed to, we got to go stock up on another big.
Right. And plus, man, the whole two-way contract, we got to go after a big. If there's one that you like, but if there's nobody better than Antonio Reeves, then just go take Reeves. If they signed anybody, like, take your pick, they signed anybody that is a big guy to a two-way contract that was left out to dry by the other team, and then the Hornets pick him up, are we saying, all right, whew, now we're good? No. Right. If they hand out a two-way contract to a 6'10 plus guy, nobody is saying, okay, all right, now we're good. I was worried about it, but now we're going to be okay. And I get the idea of wanting to provide some depth. Hey, taking a shot in the dark, maybe it helps him, but no, let's just go after Reeves because, he's a crazy elite shooter. So that would be the point to go after him. You want to get to Damian Baugh just real quickly?
Salute to Damian Baugh.
Okay.
Gave everything he had. Was a good player for Greensboro and filled some minutes for the Hornets. And
the thing about Baugh for me, looking at a game log, I love him. First two games he played actually came in on fire is too strong, but contributed 5 of 8 from the field, 6 of 7 from the field, 16 points, 14 points. Those are the first two games he plays last year, Doug, in February, trying to just find any bodies to help us out. We're starting to get injured quite a bit, but it's a 14-point loss to Orlando. In fact, maybe even a little bit more than that. And then you have a 14-point loss to Denver. But this is when Damian starts to play. The beginning of his run with the Hornets is also, it coincides with the worst losing streak of all time by margin of defeat. So Baugh was playing a lot there.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not. It's not his fault.
Unfair.
It's not your fault. It's not your, don't you do this to me, Sean. Don't you do this to me. But yeah, it was bad. Like, he's playing against Sacramento, like 50, Golden State, 40. It was a rough patch, and did play in a win against Brooklyn. He played in one victory. There was one victory he suited up for. So, but also provided some nice moments. And I kind of like him as a guy, a player, like trying and doing a whole bunch of different stuff. But the efficiency wasn't good. And this is clearly the right decision, in my opinion, to go after Reeves instead of Baugh.
Well, I think that Jeff Peterson is teaching us here that we cannot be they're going to shuffle around the roster a lot in search of that team that is going to take the rest of this fan base back to the playoffs. So the remaining fan base back to the playoffs. So just don't get attached, I think is the lesson here.
Yep.
But Baugh was a serviceable guard in a lot of respects. And again, we'll look back and say Baugh was one of the first signals that this new version of the front office was being more creative and looking for opportunities everywhere. And Antonio Reeves is part of that. An opportunity here where New Orleans shakes things up. They don't want to play with Antonio Reeves anymore. The Hornets swoop in there and say, actually, we'll look at Antonio Reeves. Doesn't mean it's a sure thing. Doesn't mean Antonio Reeves will ever suit up for the varsity team, but we're going to take a look. And, I think that's a great sign for franchise health overall. Also, really quickly, Antonio Reeves, if he remains the same number that he was in New Orleans, if he didn't take that number for another reason, he will be the number 12, which would further extend the record for players with the number 12 jersey for the Charlotte Hornets. That would make it 17, 2 more than the number 7 and the number 9 at 15. And I'm going to read the full list here because I think people want to know. Number 12's in Charlotte Hornet history. 1990, Jerry Sichting. 94, Steve Henson. 95, Greg Sutton. 96, Kenny Anderson. 97, 98, Vlade Divac. Vlade Dottie. Corey Alexander. Kevin Burleson. Shannon Brown. Tyrus Thomas. Gary Neal. Jorge Gutierrez. Hip, hip. Jorge. Trevion Graham. Dwight Howard in 2018. Kelly Oubre Jr. Leaky Black. And then the recently released Josh Okogie.
I don't know who wore it best. I really don't. I think Vlade, probably. That's who I would say.
Oh,
wore
yeah.
it best.
We've already decided number 12.
Okay.
It's Vlade. We're beyond number 12. We haven't finished the list yet. We will in August. I promise. Maybe. And it was Vlade Dottie.
All right. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Damian Baugh has a ring, and maybe even better than that, he does have a shirt, a Summer League Championship shirt. I want one. Apparently the fans want them. Media personalities all over. We all want a Summer League Championship shirt. Where can we get them? Well, you can't. You can't right now. We talk about it more coming up next. LOH. Who could forget about Antonio McDyess? Fuck it, man. Give it to
I'm
him.
surprised
on the
that
low
wasn't
block.
of the first place you went because didn't he do a little time at your favorite team? The
I
Indiana
don't
Pacers?
think. No, that's Antonio Davis. And that was the first place
Yeah,
I went.
McDyess was Denver, right?
Yeah, McDyess was Denver. He was, I believe, he might have had like a twilight year on that Pistons 04 championship team, but was older at that point. But Antonio McDyess, Alabama.
Yeah.
Shout to Antonio. He was awesome.
Denver, Phoenix, back to Denver. All-Star year when he was 26 in 2000, 2001. Then New York, a cup of coffee there, a cup of coffee back in Phoenix. Then to Detroit for 5
Was it the
seasons.
championship team?
And
Okay. Yeah,
then
probably was
one of
that.
the championship teams, yep. And then San Antonio for 2 years. Did he have a little stretch? Yeah, I mean, look, 96
Oh, yeah, big
to
time, big
2000,
time.
he had a little stretch.
I would say even more. That just from what I remember, Antonio McDyess definitely had more. If you're an all-star, then you've already graduated from little stretch, right?
I think he made a third-team All-NBA. Oh,
yeah.
man, he made a third-team.
Yeah, he
yes,
was a
he
bucket.
did. Before he was an all-star, weirdly.
Yeah,
Yes, like a year that
shout
he
out.
did not make the all-star. He wouldn't make an all-star team for 2 more seasons. This is very odd. I don't know why we're doing an entire segment on Antonio McDyess. You know why?
We need
Because
more.
we're almost in August. But he made an NBA third team in 98-99 with Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, John Stockton, and Hakeem Olajuwon. And this wasn't one of those where like it was a center and they had to pick a center. He made third team All-NBA as a forward with KG in 98. That's crazy.
Yeah, Antonio McDyess, more than a little stretch, maybe a big stretch is what McDyess had. And by the way, one thing that I haven't really talked about all that much, I actually have a lot of takes on third team All-NBA selections over the years and how they've just been throwaways to some players over some actual players who really deserved it. And I went down this rabbit hole because of all of the Reggie Miller overrated talk for a while. And that really frustrated me because
He was
Reggie
right
Miller
outside
isn't-
this vote. It was Steve Smith.
It happened. It happened
Okay, sorry.
every single year.
Sorry.
It happened.
We're hitting a nerve.
It happened every year. I am glad that Glenn Rice and Anthony Mason and some of the Hornets got respect, at least, with some of those All-NBA selections in the mid to late 90s. I want a Summer League Championship t-shirt, and everybody else does too. So my colleague, Willie P., shout out to the voice of Charlotte FC, he tweeted this, Doug. He said, "Dear Hornets fan shop, let us know when we can buy Summer League Championship shirts. Please and thank you." That was July 21st. So everybody was like, yep, let's roll with it. I think Crown Club created their own. They needed it so bad they couldn't wait. They just created their own Summer League Championship shirt.
It's American, baby.
Yeah, baby. You just got to make one yourself because they wanted it so bad. So the Hornets fan shop actually quote tweeted Willie P's tweet a couple days later and said, "Our team has been moving quickly to make the Summer League Champions t-shirts
not
available
very
in our
quickly.
store." Yeah, not very quickly. Stay tuned for updates. So also Joe Ovius, formerly of 99.9 The Fan, now of the Ovius and Giglio podcast, which you also should subscribe to on YouTube. They do great stuff for ACC Sports and the Triad. Joe, here in town for the ACC kickoff event, he actually goes to the Hornets fan shop. It's closed. Then he tries to go online and order it. Can't do it. And then he's like, wait, Hornets, We want it, baby. We're trying to celebrate a championship. You need to go out and get a shirt because we don't know if we'll ever have a championship print with the Hornets logo on a shirt ever again. We just don't know if that's ever going to happen. So make it available, baby. Like you could make some real money here, just cynically.
Well, it's even less than just make some money. It's about understanding your fan base. And clearly they don't. They do not understand how sick we are. They don't understand how desperate we are for this team to win anything. And hopefully this experience finds its way up to the desk of Jeff Peterson and the Schlotkin. And then there's some conversations about, hey, I think there is a fan base here. I think, and you and I have talked about this a lot. We've been doing this show for a long time, and we didn't start Locked On Hornets until after they made their last playoff series. I've been podcasting since 2013, so we were doing it weekly during, but not with Locked On. It was Hive Talk Live or something when they went to the actual playoff series. So we've been doing this for almost 10 years through a lot of losing. And we've always talked about how if this team ever decided to get serious about being competitive and win something, anything, that we felt like there was an underbelly, an undergird of Hornets fandom that was just waiting to watch our show, listen to our podcast, consume our content, but they were waiting for this team to start to win anything. And I think that got proven out. Our numbers exploded as the Charlotte Hornets did their thing in Summer League. If we didn't have a young Hansen or some kind of international superstar to boost the numbers, then there's just people that were sick and wanted to see winning basketball. So I think the organization got caught flat-footed here because they don't understand how desperate people are for this team to win anything.
I don't think we were on YouTube yet. And if we were in our infant stages. But I've always said, if the Hornets win, the fans will show up.
Yes.
They'll show up constantly because all you had to do was be 4 games above 500, and the attendance was way up at the Spectrum Center in LaMelo's second season when he was an all-star. So you gave them an all-star in the form of hope with this young, dazzling, fun type of player, and they were 4 games above 500. People started to go to the Spectrum Center, and I don't think we were on YouTube, so I don't think we saw a monster number spike there, but I do remember having a lot better interaction with people, and we've become more established over the last couple of years anyway. Yeah, man, Summer League championship, Con Knippel winning Summer League MVP. They won 19 games last year, Doug. They won 19, and yet still people are so excited about what has happened this offseason. All you need is just a little shot of hope that seems real for Hornets fans to flock to their favorite podcast and flock to the Hornets fan shop to get a Summer League championship t-shirt. That's all you need to do.
The hope is the sickness. And you mentioned Spectrum Center, which reminded me that I have a new conspiracy theory that the reason Jeff Peterson is signing all of these players, they had to waive Damian Baugh because you cannot have more than 21 players heading into training camp. Like, you just couldn't do it. They had to waive Baugh. But I have a conspiracy theory as to why they keep bringing all these players on. It's because the Spectrum Center renovations are behind and they need a little extra help. And they're just hiring two-way players to put on hard hats and go in and lift beams and just do work to put the Spectrum Center back together. And then that conspiracy theory was fuel was put on that fire because I think they released some kind of social media thing and Con Knippel was in the Spectrum Center with a hard hat on. And I was like, I knew it.
Sion, why do you have a tool belt on? Well, what are you doing, Sion? Everything all right?
Oh, are you really serious about Hornets DNA and hard work? Are you really? Are you going to put in the full effort? If it would feel like a Disney sports movie, it's like, Remember the Titans when he took them all to Gettysburg. It's like Gettysburg is Spectrum Center, and bring your lunch pail. Breaks at 12:30, and it's only 15 minutes.
A lot of fans lost their souls here, folks. You need to respect that.
You know how much losing they've seen here? It's been hell.
And tears fall from everybody's faces. They mean it when they say brick by brick. All right, yeah, brick by brick. I can get by with that mantra. Nah, pick up a damn brick. Okay,
I'm not. That's not a metaphor. I need you to take that brick and put it over there. And all these other bricks too. Brick
by brick, and actually, make sure you spread the mortar evenly. When we do it, actually, we need you to build this building. All right.
Just let me say last thing. I love it. Fans continue to put pressure on this team. that players, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, all the players that are making a lot of money, continue to put pressure on this team to win. Let Jeff Peterson, let the org know. Seriously, I'm serious. Like, send an email. Say, hey, we love Summer League. We love to see the winning. Do it again. Put pressure, particularly season ticket holders. If you're paying your hard-earned dollars, let them know, like, enough is enough. 10 years is enough to be out of the playoffs. Let's get serious. That's the only way these things move. I'm grassroots action. That's what I'm talking about here, folks.
I think there are only 2 Antonios that have played in the NBA that we haven't named. I think we will have named all of them when we name Antonio Blakeney and Antonio Harvey. We named all the other ones, actually. Really? There's only been 6 by my count. Davis, Daniels, Harvey, McDyess, Reeves, Blakeney.
But didn't they all play in like the mid to late 90s and early 2000s? I just feel like they don't make a lot of Antonios anymore.
Blakeney was recent. Actually, half have been recent. So you're thinking, but the other Antonios that you're thinking of, they were all like good. All-star appearances between the power forwards and Davis and McDyess, and Antonio Daniels played in the NBA for a while in San Antonio. Funny how multiple Antonios ended up in San Antonio. Anyways, we can be done with that. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. Great show. Yeah, go check us out anywhere you get your pods. This is the one to go check out. Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Locked On NBA, where he can share some of this information that they can use on the Big Boy Show. Matt Moore, Hayes, they are hosting Locked On NBA alongside Doug as well. And I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
Give me T-shirt or give me death.